Um, Welcome to my beta feedback video, and there's just going to be some generic Modern Warfare 2, or Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3 gameplay going on in the background. I'm going to start off with mostly good stuff, because I have a lot of good, and not a lot of bad. Or actually, I'll start off with a mixture of good and bad. I'll kind of try and keep it somewhat concise. But some good things I do like about the beta: guns feel very nice. I do like how they still feel kind of punchy. I mentioned in the first impressions, guns feel very punchy. They feel very responsive. They don't feel too clunky like Modern Warfare 2019's. And they don't feel super heavy responsive. Super overly responsive and like snappy like Vanguard. They feel punchy, but not so punchy that it feels like that I'm playing Battlefield or something like that. They feel punchy enough that they feel somewhat good to use, but not so clunky and weird that they're too realistic. It feels arcadey enough, essentially. I think they've nailed down that whole arcade style that I've come to love from Call of Duty and Treyarch. They've managed to nail that pretty well. So I'm very happy with that. The next thing I will bring up is, while the gun selection in the beta was very small, I do like that the guns do feel very different from each other, and they feel very consistent and feel very nice. The Renetti is a little bit of an exception to that, because the Renetti is a little weak, but it's a burst pistol, so it makes sense they need to be not like a pocket M16. It still feels kind of weak, even at the ranges I would be comfortable fighting with a pistol. It still feels kind of weak. And maybe just not gotten all the attachments for it yet, but yeah, it still feels kind of a little too weak. Maybe it's like a tiny bump, so maybe it's on a 3 burst. Because if you think I'm at least needing to fire a 3 burst before I actually can get it kill somebody. Excuse me. The ACR, or the MCW, I think it's called? MCW, yes. I have the guns pulled up so I can have reference on them. I think it's a bit too strong. I like it that it is very accurate and really good damage. I think it's a bit too... I would say if we're going to nerf anything, nerf its headshot multiplier just a smidge. Like maybe like 0.1 of a multiplier. Because it's just that much of a difference that it's like, ooh, okay, that's 3-shotting people from across the map with if you hit all headshots. Which is nice, but there's a point where it feels a little unfair when you're mapping people across a state. It's not too great. I think it's tolerable. It's just a little bit too strong, and I also still probably tune it a tiny bit so its fall off isn't so a little bit more harsh. I feel like its fall off is very, very minimal at like reasonable ranges. I think Battle Rage should be moved back to a field upgrade. I do like Battle Rage. I still think it should be be moved back to a field upgrade. One, it just doesn't feel potent enough as a tactical. Even in its current state after it's been nerfed, I still think it's a bit too... I think it's a bit too gimmicky. Either I would say retune it a little bit more, or put it as a field upgrade again. Which isn't saying, I'm not saying remove it. I think it's a great tactical. I think it's very fun. I just think it's a bit much for a tactical, but in the state it's currently in, it would be a bad field upgrade. I would say if you're gonna do anything, make it a field upgrade and then buff it up just a tiny bit. As for other things, obviously the munitions box works fine. All the other field upgrades. The only other field upgrade I'm kind of iffy on is the ACS feel and the comm scramblers being kind of meh. For the system works. I haven't really gotten the work too well in like any usage at all, so maybe sometimes I'm using them wrong or something like that. But regardless, I have nothing to comment on those. I just think field upgrades, if they're gonna be in the game, they need to be potent. Not potent enough that they're overpowered, but potent enough that you notice their effect and they're either useful to the person using it, or they're a pain in the butt for the person going up against it. Think like, I would say, for just as an example, not specialist broken, but enough of a noticing problem where, like, if you don't deal with that pretty quickly, it's gonna be annoying. As for Other weapons, I haven't brought up one of the weapons. The AN-94, I believe it's called, give me one second to pull up the AR list here, or the weapon list. The AR is called the SVA-545. Thing hits so good. I think it's fine in its current state. I would say maybe buff up its minimum damage range at its like most damage closest range, just a smidge, because it feels like it dies off really fast. Which, if you're curious, the SVA is like an A94. I do like it. It's very nice. I highly, if you were able to play it in the beta, let me know how you thought about that, because I think it was probably my favorite gun in the beta next to the Striker, which brings us to the SMGs. They all are pretty which makes me sad, because I love SMGs. I love the UMP. It's such a cool gun, man. I think the SMGs feel like they suffer from the same problem that I had in Modern Warfare 2019's early days in the beta, where SMGs didn't feel like they had the range of an SMG. They felt like they had the range of a pistol, and trying to fight anyone at the range where an SMG would make sense, like close mid-range, like Rust, I think is a perfect example of what I mean by that. So, like, most of Rust SMGs were either very good or awful. The AMR-9 is a good example of that. I could not get that thing to work at all. It felt like I was shooting at, like, pellets. Maybe other people had different experiences. I could not get that thing to work. Striker is the outlier to that, though. The UMP does feel very nice once you get it kitted out. The build I have currently is a nice suppressed, rangy build with a decent amount of recoil control. And it's very nice. It feels very consistent. It's actually probably the most consistent SMG in the game, because the AMR-9's kind of doo-doo. And the Scorpion, I forget what it's called. I looked at the list again. The Rival 9, that thing just sucks. I'm sorry, it just does. I've never got to use really any of the other weapons. The sniper, I think, is a bit too slow. Not the longbow, the semi-auto one. I think it's just a bit too slow. Although it does one shot to the head. I'm about to say, if you're gonna make it that slow, maybe give it like a shoulder, like upper chest and neck one shot. Maybe it just does, and I just suck at aiming, because this thing, its physical, like, visual recoil is freaking nuts. Like, the gun does not feel nice to use. The longbow, however, the AK sniper rifle, mwah, beautiful, super fun to use. Get that thing with a nice, quick scoping type setup, and oh, it feels like an intervention on its crack. Maybe not in terms of damage, but in terms of that nice, punchy, and I'm going to use the term punchy a lot. It's just, it feels very nice, it feels satisfying to use, and I get a lot of feedback, because it's like, ooh, I killed that person, ooh, I killed that person. Like, it feels satisfying to use. Which is, in general, how the guns in this game feels. It feels very satisfying to get kills. Probably because some of them suck. Like I said, other than the MCW, which is being used a lot of the guns feel kind of weak as balls. Both the pistols, other than the Uzi, are kind of doo-doo. The MTZ battle rifle, I think, is fine. It's just a bit too slow and doesn't feel like it hits hard enough for how slow it fires. I haven't really got to use it that much. I did use it a tiny bit in my PlayStation after this recording, but other than that, not really a fan of it. As for the Bass B, that thing is frickin' spicy. I think it's probably my favorite battle rifle in the game right now, and it feels very satisfying to use, albeit a little inconsistent, but they did fix it. It feels a lot better, and I definitely think it is a very nice, almost sniper support type weapon. So if we're gonna play playing in Warzone, I definitely think it's great in that. I didn't get to use shotguns really that much, because as much as I do love running around with a shotgun and blasting somebody to pieces with a shotgun, I never really got to use it. Although the 410 auto shotgun, the few times I did pick it up, oh my god, was that fun. Similarly with the Holger, every single time I got the Holger with a couple attachments on it, it felt really nice to use. I didn't get to use the PKM at all. I did get to use the longbow, like I said, and I think that feels very good. The other assault rifle that's in the game, that's not the SVA or the MCW, the MTZ-556, I think is really, really good. And I'm gonna say it, it feels almost too good. Not to the point where it's like, oh, nerf it. But it almost feels too good for it to be the first weapon. Which makes sense. It feels like a very solid weapon to have unlocked first. So I'm happy about that. As for some of the other weapons, the Marks rifles kind of just suck. They just do. I never really got to make any of them work. Although that just could be me not using them enough because I'm just was going for XP and not going for like trying out all the guns. But I wasn't huge on it. I think it was fine. The few times I had to use it, it felt like it was getting kills. It just did not feel satisfying to use at all. As for the maps, I have very little experience with Modern Warfare 2, 2000 or 2002. Was it 2001 or 2009? That was just be 2009. I never really played it. The only maps I've played on it were maps that ended up getting remastered in other games. So Rust, High Rise, Terminal. I'm trying to think of other maps that were remastered. Rust, Terminal, High Rise, and Scrapyard. I think was another one. I think it was remastered in 2019. Essentially, if it was remastered in a COD game later down the line, I played it probably then. So Estate was new to me. What was it? It was Estate. Favela was new to me. I've never really played Favela. The only map that I really had familiarity with was High Rise, which I'm gonna be honest, other than being a sniper map, I don't like it. Rust, which is, I love Rust. Arguably my favorite map in the beta, next to maybe Estate on a good objective mode. On TDM, it kind of plays slow. Didn't play Ground War or Cutthroat or anything like that. Oh, Skid Row, that's the other one. I was okay with Skid Row. I felt like Skid Row had a little bit too much camping going on, but I think that's just a testament of people still having the mindset of being able to camp. But other than that, I think Skid Row was fine. High Rise, don't like personally, other than S&D, which I did do a couple games of last night, and oh, S&D felt good. As for other maps, again, Estate, I love Estate. Estate plays so nice. Rust, always a good map. Didn't play any Ground War, didn't play any Cutthroat. I will probably when the full game comes out, but as for mode, or as for issues that I noticed, footsteps still feel very inconsistent. I feel like you can barely hear people walking, let alone sprinting. Obviously, people have dead silence, that's one thing. But I feel like I can barely hear anyone sprinting around. And when I do, I can't tell if it's a teammate or a friendly. Or my own footsteps. So I think audio is just something that you can kind of tweak here and there. I made a complaint about it in my first game. And I'm not going to say that as a complaint now, but I am still going to say this game feels very fast. To the point where I actually am a little bit worried. Because it's a little too fast. That's not me saying, oh, make the movement speed less. It's me saying, the game feels so fast, I'm getting a headache. Which is both a good and a bad thing. But it's jarring to go from a game like Modern Warfare 3 and then go play something like Black Ops 4, which I've been playing a lot of going for zombies camos. But it's kind of jarring. It feels way too fast for its own good, which again is not a complaint. This is me saying this. The speed is not a complaint. I like the speed as is. It's just, please, for the love of God, make the visual effect of running a little less nauseating, because I feel like I'm getting a little motion sick from the slight view bob that's there. Also, I know they fixed it a little bit in Beta 2, or in Weekend 2, but please, for the love of God, for launch, make the visibility on enemy characters a little bit better when they're in a group. Or when they're in your line of sight. Because I've had so many times where I've seen a teammate, teammate's nameplate through a wall, and then an enemy shoots me, and I thought they were my teammate. Something would be better, like, hell, even if it's just like a thing where it's like, a red outline or something like that. I know that's a little bit cheap, because it makes hiding in corners a little bit harder. Or it makes hiding in general harder if you're those people who like to do ninja view stuff. But for modes like not S&D or something like that, or like modes where it makes sense, I need better visibility on enemies. Everyone looks the same. My brain can't process that information fast enough to realize that it's an enemy. Either that or make the nameplates pop up sooner, and I'll just have cold-blooded get rid of them. As for perks and like the glove and the weird gear system, I freaking love it. I think it's very different because it feels satisfying to use all that. The vests I think are very cool. That you can run double primaries and all that, and then have it be different from your boots. I think the gloves, just in general, being what they are, is really nice. I think the boots are really interesting and how they're cool, and then the different like padding and stuff like that. I actually will say I've not been running the bone conduction headset, which apparently is like the awareness type perk. I haven't really been wearing it. I've been mainly just doing the base stuff. I haven't really tried out any other perks. I don't really like doing it. I like how sort of feeling how I like certain modes and stuff like that. I have different loadouts, different modes type thing. That's how I always played. But in terms of the perks, I think they're very good. Again, I like footsteps the way they are. I just think if you're not running the canvas shoes for like, or the Dead Silence equivalent, I still can't hear them, and I have to crank up my headset really loud to hear them. And right now I can't. I can't even hear footsteps in general because of pain. So that's just a me problem. But when I did have my headset on, I wasn't in pain. I could barely hear them. Maybe that's just me playing with my headset let down low, or me just having some weird audio issues. But I can barely hear footsteps, man. As for the really bad things I need to point out, every time a grenade lands by a character, they will call it out every single second it's on your screen. I had one instance, I think it happens in this gameplay, I don't know if I'll be able to point it out, because obviously I'm not watching the gameplay live. I'm recording this in OBS after the fact. Where a grenade lands by my feet, and it goes, grenade, 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 grenade. It's like, I understand it's a grenade. Could you stop yelling it in my ear, please? Thank you. It's just a bug. I'm not saying it's going to be like that in the full game, but God, please fix that. That is actually obnoxious. I muted my game audio after that. I was so annoyed. Or at least my voice audio. I didn't mute all my game audio. For the video, I kept it on, but I basically haven't been playing with voice at all. Which means if somebody gets an MGB on me, I don't know until it hits me, which hasn't happened yet. On that note, speaking of people getting things that I've never gotten before, I think the matchmaking actually doesn't feel that bad. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, Scooby's matchmaking sucks." Like, it's been in the game since COD 4. Shut up. You're just not used to people getting better than you now. Although I will say that I have had some really bad servers. Some really bad connection servers. So there is that. Because I do know it prioritizes connection to a degree. So it has been connecting me in the US stuff. But I've had a couple games where it's put me in like a EU server, I think. Although to be fair, I was, the reason why I think is because I was playing at like 1 in the morning. So all the American servers were on West Coast or not on at all. So that makes sense. That part makes sense. It's the fact that the times it was inconsistent, I was getting rolled. But map voting, just solid. There was a few times where it would randomly bug out and not pick the vote, but that just a weird ironed out kink that'll immediately get fixed, most likely. As for the... I'm trying to think of other things to critique. I really have a lot to critique. The beta is very solid. I think the objectives on all the different modes, at least domination, or hardpoint, domination, and kill confirmed, the objective markers feel very... I don't know why, but at least for hardpoint, I felt like the objective markers weren't obvious where they were, and I kept on thinking the one that was up top that indicates when the next hardpoint is happening. I felt like that was confusing me in terms of where I needed to go. So I definitely think maybe moving that to be underneath the minimap or something like that or moving it somewhere else so it's not getting me confused would be nice. Not saying it has to be, but it's definitely gave me a couple of wait, where's the hard point? Minor things. Again, all my critique mainly right now is minor. I think overall the freaking beta is great. So I'm telling you, nailed it. You knocked it out of the park with this one. In terms of the only other critique I have, and this is the big critique, is I really think some of the visibility on, I think, Favela and Estate, some of those bushes are very tall. And I'm not going to say they did, but it felt like they were yoinking my aim assist away. Favela especially did this, because there's a couple of bushes on that right side of the map if you spawn on the lower end. On the, like the lowest, most part of the street. I noticed it felt like every single time somebody ran up the hill on that right side or left if you're at I think it's, yeah, so the C flag, I loaded into a game just to sort of see if I could get it, and I managed to get it first try. If you're spawning on Seaside, the bushes on that, like, left, on that right side or left if you're coming from A, some of them that are, like, a little bit taller on the left side feels like they take away my aim assist. Not really a thing that's, like, it's, I don't know if it's intended or not, but it feels a little out of place it's doing that. I think overall visibility on the maps themselves, outside the characters just being hard to spot sometimes, I think they're fine. I do think a couple of maps have a little bit too dark of areas. Favela has a lot of nooks and crannies I think that should be kind of taken out. I know they were trying to keep map authenticity from how they were in the original, but there's a couple of them that are a little bit scummy. Like, there's one on Favela that actually killed one of my streaks, and it's just outside B flag. If you go up the stairs and hang left, there's like a little cubby that you can just hide in. And I think there's another one by the hard point. That center hard point by B, yeah. On B flag, there's another one like in a corner. I don't mind it. It's just, obviously, if you sit in there, you're kind of screwed and immediately caught off guard. But I think it's too deep. I think it should be just cut a little bit deeper. Like maybe put some garbage in there or something so it's not as deep in. Just because they feel a little bit scummy. It's just really, and again, character visibility. I just had a moment of shooting a teammate here. But yeah, like, those are the really main big things. Character visibility, I think, is a good one. Map visibility, again, is very nice. I think all the colors are very vibrant, especially compared to Marvel 2 originally. Again, only real complaint is just the maps sometimes feel a little bit clunky. I don't know if this is, again, the product of it being from Modern Warfare 2, 2009. But I'm just not a huge fan of the maps. I'm hoping we do get some more map variety before the first season. My one request, and Sledgehammer, if you are seeing this video for feedback, because I will be linked to, I probably would have added you when I post the video. Please give us some maps before Season 1 come out, like some other remastered maps. Like, give us at least Shipment. I know, like, oh, another year of Shipment. Give us, or either give us Shipment or a map similar to it that's very small, like Shipment. So that way we can get something that's not Rust, because I love Rust. I'm going to get sick of that color palette very fast. Or either that, or just, if you're going to give us no new map, give us Rust 24/7 from day one. Or at least week 1. Like, give it to us on the weekend. First double XP weekend, give us Rust 24/7. Please, that's all I'm asking. Because some of us, me, and Jev, and people who want to grind out camos as fast as possible, we want a small map, and Rust is the only really good small map in the game right now. Scrapyard might be a good one. I actually don't know. I've not, like I said, I've not played very many of the Modern Warfare 2 maps. I actually can't remember if Scrapyard was decently small or not. Regardless, I would love to have a camo grinding playlist, so a lot of maps that just work for camo grinding. If you could do that, Sledgehammer, please, thank you, KidX, bye. I'll buy you a coffee, maybe, please, somebody. I'm talking the void, aren't I? Anyway, well, I do that every video. What am I talking about? Oh, I actually almost forgot about this. Pack stance. I am indifferent on it. I think it's fine. I think it's cool, unique, and different. I like it. It adds a little bit more fun to things, because it means you can kind of strafe around corners a little bit faster with your gun up and ready to shoot while having like reasonable accuracy. I have not tried shooting and swapping tack stance. I know on PC you could probably do it really easily if you have a keybind or a mouse with extra buttons on the side. As for the only aftermarket part weapon that we got, which is for the Renetti, which basically turns it into, I think, a TMP9 type thing. Basically makes a full auto and an aluminum SMG. I think it's really fun. I love the concept of it. I think it's very, very cool. Please give us aftermarket parts for a lot of weapons. Like, a lot of weapons. I'm not saying make them mandatory on every single weapon. Please give us a lot of them. Even if it's just a simple, like, hey, we turned this weapon from an auto to a assault rifle to a shotgun. That'd be really cool. I know we're getting a lot of weapons with everything being brought forward from Modern Warfare 2, but still, give us a lot of aftermarket parts. I think they're the coolest thing in the game. And when we only have one in the beta, I do really freaking love it. As for a few other things, XP felt very inconsistent at times when it came to leveling up. I don't know if that was just me having that problem or if other people were experiencing it. It felt like leveling up was taking forever. And it felt like that whenever I did level up, there would be like a stint of time where I was just leveling up like crazy, and then it would take another whole hour to hit another level. But like 1 hour I would get through like 3 levels, and then the next, after I hit a certain level, it took me an hour to get to the next one. Obviously, this is a mixture of me probably having some bad games, but even then, I got a lot of games on Rust, and then had one bad game on, I think, High Rise. And then I just stopped getting a lot of XP. And I don't know if it was, again, just me just doing something wrong or just sucking. But it felt like XP was not very easy to come by. As we're recording this, there is double weapon XP live, which feels very nice. So I'm definitely noticing weapons leveling up a lot faster. As for the only other really complaint that I have, being the streak, the Guardian is kind of bad. I don't like it. I think it's loud. I don't mind it being a thing. I think it's fine as a streak. I just don't like how deafening it is on my poor ears. I'm already hard of hearing as is, and if that's hurting my ears, I can't imagine how people who have an auditory problem are experiencing. The Juggernaut suit, I think, is a bit too broken. I'm gonna say it. I don't like saying that, because I like Juggernaut suits, and I like shotguns. So you think I'd love the Juggernaut suit? Oh, I've died to that thing way too many times to want to even give anyone credit for using that thing. Because it felt way too strong for what it was worth. Obviously, yeah, it is a huge thing. It's a huge thing that you unlock. It is a very, very strong score streak. It feels too strong. I would say either nerf its range on the shotgun or get rid of the shield. And maybe just make it a little bit tankier to compensate with the lack of shield. Because, good God, I feel like I am fighting Iron Man with... I feel like I'm fighting Iron Man sometimes with, like, a sniper rifle. Because, good Lord, it feels like I am rooting at air when it comes to this guy. Yeah, other than that, again, I think it's pretty solid. Pretty solid beta. I'm very happy with how things are going. And my hopes for the rest of the full game, because I still have about a little bit of time. No time, actually. Basically, real quick summarize of my hopes for the game. Camos on more for 2 weapons, even though we already have the grind. Good zombies camo, and... yeah, that's basically that. Those are the 2 big questions I have. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Bye. I'll see you guys in the next live stream that I make. And Sledgehammer, if you're watching this, hi. Have a nice day.